Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 29th day of the month of September, 2023. Friday of the 25th week of the year, the 25th week in Ordinary Time. It is also today the great feast of the Archangels, Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. Also here at the Franciscan School, this is the beginning of our wonderful festival of St. Francis. The Feast of St. Francis happens on Wednesday, Wednesday, October 4th this year. So we do a big kickoff this evening because there's also the Franciscan Experience, our great fundraiser, auction-y kind of a thing, where we raise money for this great educational institution, now over 650 students strong. Our fourth grade is right behind me over there. During that week that the Feast of St. Francis falls next week, we tell the story of St. Francis. And so they are given the great honor of telling that. So they are rehearsing it right now. On our calendar, again, on our calendar today, though, it is the Feast of the Archangels, and we have special readings for this day. As a feast, you get a first reading and a gospel like you usually would in any other day. But the readings, again, like I said, are special. Daniel, again, which talks about again the angels who serve the Lord and how it is that they minister to others through the work that God asks them to do. In the gospel, it is the call of Nathanael, and Nathanael, who has a little bit of doubt as to who and what Jesus is and what he can actually do. Basically, Jesus says, if you follow me, you will see, greater things that you can imagine, and angels ascending and descending, to the throne of heaven and things like that. So, what are we celebrating today? We're celebrating, again, not necessarily magical creatures. We are not celebrating things that are closer to us than God is. We are not celebrating beings that grant wishes or who we can turn to because God is too inaccessible. We are basically celebrating these beings who Scripture basically says exist, and who help guide human beings to do what it is that God asks us to do. There is never any mention of a fallen angel or an angel who falls or whatever it is. Yes, there is an angel that is mentioned who unfortunately doesn't have a good reputation in the Gospels, and about some falling from heaven there, but it's mentioned only once and in passing, and nothing else is ever said of it. It does not appear in the in the Old Testament. And in fact, that angel of ill reputation is actually seen in the book of Job as part of the court of God, and someone basically who is prosecuting attorney against humanity for God, to make sure that God isn't too lenient with human beings, or that human beings aren't getting away, with things. So again, Satan working for God, it's all kinds of things like that. It's all very complicated, and so we cannot, read legends and stories that have sprung up outside of Scripture for a definition of who and what angels are. What we can say, though, is that we have been made a little less than the angels, and that is from Scripture itself. That humanity also possesses something that angels do not have, which is God's image and likeness. So again, while we might think of all divine beings in the same kind of way, angels are not given the great privilege of being witnesses to God, and being actually having the ability to be able to share the life of God with one another as we are given that great ability. So remember these angels. Again, 3 are mentioned. Sometimes there are 4, and an angel called Ariel, again, who does not necessarily appear in anything, and again comes up in legends and things like that. But the 3 major ones, again, always of a great help. Really only 2, are mentioned in Scripture, and that's Gabriel and Raphael. Michael is kind of mentioned. Michael never actually has an encounter. There's never an encounter with Michael. He is mentioned in third person or whatever it is. But Raphael, helps to cure the blindness of Tobit's father. It helps to guide Tobit into making the right choices to be able to continue the line of Israel. And then Gabriel is the great messenger, both to Zechariah and to Mary, about John the Baptist and Jesus. So again, the fact that they, are there in Scripture gives us, reason, to embrace, their existence. It is, though, passing references. They speak, yes, and they proclaim something, yes, but then they disappear, and we never hear from them again. And at Jesus's resurrection, it is just angels, perhaps, or beings, that are dazzling clothes. It never gives them names. So again, the importance of sometimes knowing that angels can serve a purpose, and that is it, and it is a good purpose. But we do not get lost in them, because that would mask the wonder and beauty of the God who calls us into greater relationship than God does angels, and to rejoice in that relationship that God creates with us. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. A happy Franciscan experience to the Franciscan School. May the Lord give you his peace.